Good evening and welcome to this evening edition of the Vision Root video blog. I am your host, Richard Urban, coming to you from historic Harpers Ferry, West Virginia. Tonight's video blog is titled Fight the Culture of Bad Sex by Learning and Teaching Your Kids the Culture of Good Sex. I'd like to start with the scripture reading from the words of Reverend Sun Myung Moon. This is from the Chun Sung Gyung, page 1786. The serpent is analogous to the male sexual organ. Doesn't the male sexual organ look like a serpent's head? It goes around constantly seeking a hole. The female sexual organ is also similar to the cave of a poisonous snake with its mouth open. Once you bite it or are bitten, that poison will spread throughout the veins of your whole body and you will die forever. Immorality is the way that individuals, families, tribes, and nations are ruined. This is because the snakes ate the fruit of good and evil. That's what it means. Men try to seduce women using that. So that ends our scripture reading. What I'd like to do now is an excerpt from the King's Report. That's Pastor Hyungjin Moon's daily blog show. And this was Monday, October 23rd. So let's give a listen to that.
It's not all about you. You're remembering that you're connected to the grand history of time and humanity. You're remembering that you're not a nano. You're remembering that you're not an evolutionary byproduct. You're remembering you're not just an advanced ape. You're remembering that you're not just an amoeba flying around on an asteroid in outer space with no meaning, no purpose, that just is there to reproduce and to have sex. Isn't it funny how all these liberal lunatics use the justification of evolution to justify having all types of forms of deviant sexuality? You understand? Every civilization is tied to its sexual morals. Sexual morals determine a civilization. You can't have an orderly civilization when you have sexual deviance and dysfunction. You cannot have an orderly civilization when everybody's raping one another. Do you understand that? When everybody's violating everybody else, you cannot have a stable society. You cannot. It's impossible. Every civilization is tied to sexual morals because it's through sex that children of the next generation are born, and it's through sex that either people are destroyed or created. In the end, it is about absolute sex. That's why Father talks about absolute sex all the time. It's tied to what type of sex you're having as a civilization. What the hell type of sex are you having? Are you having sex with animals? Are you having sex with bestiality and what is it, bisexual and transgender and all this crap? Pedophilia. Is a society where pedophilia is okay, like the Romans or even the samurai class of some samurais? The grooming of children in different pagan traditions. Are they in the Aztec traditions where they can rape children and kill them and sacrifice to the gods? What is this? What are the sexual norms? The sexual norms will determine what type of civilization you have. In the end, it's a battle about sex. Sex creates love, life, lineage. It creates generations. It creates a future progeny. Look at all the powerful elites. Look at how they're not celibate. They're into their power for the easier access to easier sex. Look at these Hollywood elites, which are now exploding, and it's now coming out. Marilyn Bass is accused of rape. Marilyn Manson's now. 38 women accused Toback of sex harassment. Weinstein, Polanski, Bryan Singer in the movie, right? The guy who created X-Men. I mean, these people are into sex. Do you understand? They just pretend they're not because they're pretending they're into artsiness. They're using that as a cloak and a veil to lure pretty young girls and boys to them. So they can exploit them while they're vulnerable, while they're young. Because when you're young, you're vulnerable and you're dumb. Which is the reason why you need a daddy and a mommy who's having sexual fidelity to one another, protecting you when you're young and vulnerable and dumb. You see how the sexual morals are tied to any civilization? And this is what is so incredible about now after the cosmic blessing of True Mother, Kang. You see the pedophile organizations being exploded. I mean, literally the next week, exploding. Hollywood is dying. The little central headquarters of free sex, deviant sex culture, pornography, sexual deviance, pedophilia, you name it, is exploding. And once it's exploding, guess what happens? See, once the pedophile networks start exploding, see, there's so many inner secrets. They're all keeping secrets for pacts for one another. But now you see the other Hollywood stars starting to betray them, get unhinged from that pack, starting to actually come out against the directors. Once that explodes, all the other intertwined pedophile networks of Washington, D.C., tied with Hollywood, tied with the girl trafficking, tied with Miami, tied with New York, tied with the fashion industry, tied with the international banking community and the super elites, tied to the royal family of Britain, who are the known pedophiles with Jimmy Savile and Edward Heath, necrophiles. I mean, it's intertwined network of international pedophiles, tied with the Catholic Church, tied with the Pope, tied with the former Pope, tied with the Cardinal Pell, Deputy Pope. I mean, tied. You see what I'm saying? They're all tied, intertwined. They're all working together. They're all pleasuring one another with their little new children that they're sex trafficking from Southeast Asia and different parts of the world, interchanging and interselling to one another. It's all intertwined. You see, once Satan's kingdoms start exploding about the real nature of it, which is pedophilia, which is kind of like the middle level, and then the higher levels are eating and killing children, okay, which is also mentioned in the Bible, by the way. You see, it's no different. All these things are intertwined. And it's no joke that right after true parents are once again solidified at the perfection state level with the true mother Kang, all this starts exploding in Satan's face. Why? Because Satan was the first pedophile. Satan was the first child predator. Isn't that amazing? That's a very good revelation, isn't it? Satan was the first child predator. He was the first child abuser. He was the first sex rapist. He was the first sex abuser. He was a child sex abuser. He went after Eve when he was already grooming Eve by the time she was 12 years old. Oh, you see this? He was grooming them so he could have them. He was the first sex predator. And isn't it?
So how can we fight this culture of bad sex and pedophilia and sexual immorality that's imploding? We can see in Hollywood and everywhere else. Well, as I said, the title is Fighting the Culture of Bad Sex by Learning and Teaching Your Kids the Culture of Good Sex. So that's what we need to do. So where can we find a clear framework about the culture of good sex? Unfortunately, most Christians don't know what the fall of man is. Well, in our upcoming STAR Interfaith Leadership Training Workshop, we're going to talk about what the culture of good sex is and where the culture of bad sex came from. We're going to understand that. And we're also going to talk practically about the benefits of abstaining from sex before marriage and remaining faithful within marriage. From a practical viewpoint, but also from a scriptural viewpoint. This workshop will be life-changing. This conference will be life-changing. It's here in Harpers Ferry. It's from November 24th to November 26th. And right now, through October 31st, you can get discounts of up to $20 per ticket. So you can go to our website, which is this one, urbanlifetraining.org, and you can register. So you can also give us a call if you have any questions. So we hope to see you there. We need tools to fight the culture of bad sex. It's not enough just to say, well, abstain from sex before marriage. That's good. It's better than nothing. But why are you abstaining from sex? What are the benefits of that? What are the scriptural and biblical reasons? Do you understand the words that Reverend Moon gave? Do you understand what the fall of man is? Do you understand what God's ideal is? Do you understand why, as Pastor Hyung Jin Moon said, lineage is the very core of society? Why is the society now imploding? Because Satan was a first child predator. So we're going to explore these topics in depth. You're going to come away ready and equipped to not only teach your kids, but throughout society, all the leaders, this information, and it will be available for you to teach. So I do hope you'll join us. So thank you for listening tonight. Let's change the culture of bad sex to a culture of good sex, and let's literally save our nation. There's nothing less at stake. This is the core issue. It is a core issue. It's connected to all the evil going on in the world. Think about it more if you're not sure. Pray about it. I do thank you for tuning in. I am your host, Richard Urban. We'll see you on November 24th to 6th here in historic Harpers Ferry for this new sexual revolution conference. You will be enlightened, and I will be glad to see you there. Thanks, be blessed, and have a good night.